What is going on, guys? I'm Bill with EvilleTruck, and in today's video we are getting rid of this Stinger speaker box on the tailgate. Now, absolutely nothing wrong with it. It served well. I had this in the 4-door. Now I got the 2-door. I swapped it over. The only issue I have is just the limited space I have in the 2-door, running out of areas to stick stuff, and putting a molly panel back here would give me some room, put stuff like my fire extinguisher that, I haven't found a spot for yet. A couple of things I could put back here, because, I could put some stuff in this little cubby here, but it just bounces around and I don't really use that. So be better if I could put this the subwoofer back there, which is what we've got here. This is from Additive, pretty sure it's Additive Auto. It's gear shade. They made a couple of 3D printed speaker boxes. They did pretty well, and now they actually split that off to a whole separate company, which is called Additive Auto now. And I think, hopefully, it just says gear shade in here. Hopefully I'm getting that name right. I'll put the name down and link below. It's not associated with them or anything. Just, I've been checking these out. I was checking it out when I first got this. So I was like, I got this speaker. I don't need to go through the trouble of installing kind of a hidden subwoofer, but it's been on the back of my mind. And then they just had their Black Friday deals. And so got me looking again, and I finally decided, it's time. Now they have a couple of options for an 8-inch kicker or 10-inch kicker or 10-inch JL speaker box that around, or the L7 kicker 8-inch, which is an 8-inch square subwoofer, which is technically more surface area than a 10-inch round 10-inch, but they're comparable pretty much, I would think. I am going down from a 12-inch to an 8-inch, but like I said, it is a square 10-inch and or square 8-inch. So there will be a difference in sound, obviously, plus the difference in speaker box and location. So we'll find out how it sounds comparatively, and I'll do my best to explain it. Right now, I love this. It does have some nice, good, deep bass, and hopefully you can hear me over this heater. It's not making too much background noise, because it is cold out here. But so trying to record some audio for you to play through YouTube is not going to do any justice, because the sound's going to be compressed. You're not going to be able to hear the recorded bass like the way the bass hits here. But yeah, the Stinger with the Phoenix Gold 12-inch sounds good. It's not like the clearest, best audio ever in the world, but it is pretty good. It's got good deep bass. It doesn't have a whole lot of good like punch to it, but if you like deeper, rumbly bass, then it's really good for that. So I imagine this will be a little bit punchier, but probably not as good down low for those like that deep bass. But we'll get it installed and find out. But first things first, I got to take this off. To do so, just take all these screws out, which I'll go ahead and do, and then we can pull it off the door and go from there. So yeah, this is, it's 12-inch, dual voice coils, a 4 ohm. So if you run it, both, we had it running at 2 ohms, 400 watts RMS, 800 watts max. That one's 700 watt max, 350 RMS. So fairly comparable price-wise. Then to get this off, there's two Torx bit screws underneath, and that two 10mm bolts in there. Let's move the Torx. So there's two 10mm bolts in here. So, we got one of them right there. And apparently we've got a helper. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it to your specifications? And there's the other one. So this will just lift off of there. As you have the speaker connections right back behind. And it was screwed in to these nutserts that we put on there, which we'll have to remove this over. So now we've got our clean tailgate again, except for we have a couple of nutserts there, which probably won't need to reuse depending on what we're end up doing installing here. Now I got to unwrap all this tape and take my speaker wires back out, because I have those taped into there, which they don't need to come out here anymore. So I'll undo all this tape, pull these speaker wires out, and then we'll start taking all this apart and getting to the install. I was curious, I don't know if you can see that, but we're 28.8 pounds. So 30 pounds on the tail, extra weight on the tailgate that we've gotten off of there, and a couple inches of depth, and we're back to pretty much stuck. And this is a 22 with the 7 or 6 speaker. It didn't have subwoofer, it didn't have the fake subwoofer or any of that, but we're going to make sure it does. Okay, pull this piece up. And when you're taking this off, there are some connections back here. Just gotta squeeze, unplug them. We got the cigarette lighter and some other plastics. Then you gotta come around to the front here and get rid of some of our trash. Also, pull that piece up so we can pull this all up and about. Let me throw this trash down. And then we just got to pull this piece around the seatbelt there. Everything else should be pretty much disconnected. And we should be able to just pull this whole panel out. And then our new speaker box is going to sit right about there. It's not sitting all the way back currently because I have this wiring and stuff in the way. And this is how I had my amp installed previously. Hopefully we can just leave that right there. This does have room to mount, where I think like this. I have to check the instructions. It did have space where you can mount an amp on the top of it, but it was for the 500 amp. This is the 800 amp, which is a little bit bigger. Just barely fits back there, so hopefully we can keep it there, but we'll figure that out. Let me go ahead and get all this stuff cleaned up and see how everything fits, and then we'll check back in. All right, so here we go. This is how the box will sit in there. It's not attached to anything Yep, I did have to take the amp that was there. I had to take that out, figure out where we're going to move that here. But yeah, I just have the box sitting in place. Now the instructions, I thought the pictures in the instructions show a 4-door, and they said that there was a bolt that's supposed to go right here. However, this is a 2-door. It does not have that bolt fastener there, but they thought ahead and provided a self-tapping bolt that'll go in right there and hold the top, and then there's this post here. But before we mount anything, go ahead, take the box out. This is just sitting there, but it's a bolt, a washer, and then a really large bolt there, nut kind of pass through. Get that nice and tight, and that'll go through this back hole, and the sub will make sure that's all tightened up. But first we have to put the speaker wire connector here, which is also provided. And it's got 4 little screws to attach it to there. It does have some foam already. And then we have to attach the wires on the back side here, which is going to run to the speaker inside. Now, I just grabbed the speaker wire I was using to connect the amp to the speaker box. So I'll use that for now, run that inside. And how are we going to connect those? I might have some slip-ons for that. Let me see real quick. So yes, I have these, and these got the little tips on there, which will slide on there. And then we can crimp the other end onto the speaker wire. Put one end in there. Might need the yellow ones of these. That should work. And then let's crimp our strip. This we'll say the one with red is the positive. Red to red, so which is what we had on there. Perfect. All right, and then we'll go ahead and shrink these. She'll shrink that plastic a bit too. It'll take a minute for that to warm up. Well, you still see my breath probably. All right. Again, the red slip on here. Make sure those stay nice and snug on there. Alright, so then we can feed this. It's more than enough wire. We'll end up trimming that down. Get these holes lined up. And then, yeah, we want to use hand tools for this. Screwing into plastic, we don't want to over tighten and strip anything out. We want to make sure we get a nice tight fit there. Everything started. And one more screw. Alright, now let me go grab my other speaker wire. I don't know exactly where we're putting the amp yet, so I don't know how much of the speaker wire. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it and keep it connected to this roll here. And then we'll trim it to size. When we get to that point, we want that black to black, and our red to red. And we've got plenty of speaker wire connected. I just want to make sure that this here is tightened. Alright. That's nice and snug. So I had some extra zip ties, or I had all the wiring run back here, including this, which may not go there anymore. So let's free all that wiring so we can move it wherever we need. Easier said than done. I've got too much crap in here. Can't see anything. Can't find anything. Let's see. Yeah, did have it there. I was just sitting on it. Get that. And plenty of room now. It's got a speaker box, got a little notch right there for the rear seatbelt. Make sure it's back under there. Then get that's where our first bolt is that we had back there. Then we have our bolt there. Let's see which screws. Oh, bigger than that. So I think it's these larger screws here. And then we have this nut, which is going to fit on the post down there. And then we have this, just going to go in there. Let me get, we got our self tapper there. I don't want to over tighten, but let's make sure we're good. So that appears to be a 13. Tighten these down. Alright, let's see. Now, like I said, there is room on top where you could install the Kicker 500 by 1 amp. And I do have a larger amp. I don't know if it'll fit up there. I guess we can set it up there and see. Yeah, it's not going to fit. It's just a little bit too big. That's alright. Alright, so from here, I said we had more than enough speaker wire. We can go ahead and cut some of this back. Strip this back. We got our black. We got our red. And now we need our speaker. What do we got here? Just hole covers. Alright. And here is our new speaker. It is dual voice coil as well. So we can go ahead and wire it up the same as we had our last one. We'll go ahead, we've got the black going to the red, and the red going to the red. And this is our other wire that we had on the other speaker to connect the different coils. Again, red to red, black to black, run it around. Now this is the same wire that was on the 12-inch. It barely fits this 8-inch because the magnet itself is actually about the same size. Let's turn this right side up. And then we've got the supplied screws. Again, probably don't want to use power tools because these are just nutserts inside of this 3D print, so I don't want to over tighten and break anything out of there. Get one started. I don't have a whole lot of experience with 3D printed materials. Most of the stuff I've seen is pretty thin and kind of fragile. This is solid. It's pretty thick. Definitely want to get everything started before tightening anything up too much. But yeah, this seems pretty substantial and sturdy in comparison to what I think of when I think something is 3D printed. Mount does leave a little bit because this bar back here is a little bit not super strong. I got some extra sound deadening I'm gonna wedge in there, I think. I have one more screw that I dropped somewhere. Of course, it's right there where I can't get to it. These front ones don't seem to want to. There we go. Everything seems to be lining up for except for these front two. I want to get those in started first. And then work it. Let's maybe with that one out if we can't. Feels like maybe that nutsert's is turning inside of there. Let's see what we got going on. That seems to be going in fine for me. Oh, that one had a little bit of gunk on the back side of it. There we go. We should be good now. I think we're good on those. Hopefully. Alright, I think we're good. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure these all get tightened down. Get them all started first. Hopefully we get these last two in back here. There we go. One more going. Alright, we got them all started. We can go through, tighten all these up now. Alright, well, my propane tank finally died, so it's at least quieter. But yeah, the amp wasn't going to fit over there. It does look like it'll fit right here, but once it's in place, it's going to be hard to get to any of the dials or anything. So I just have everything connected for right now. I want to make sure everything works, make any adjustments to sound levels and any settings on the amp necessary first. And well, turn. Yes, shush. I really hate all these alerts. I'm well aware. Turn the volume down. Yeah, I probably can't play that because copyright and everything. But that hits a lot lower than I thought it was going to. I didn't change any of the settings from what I had connected to the other sub. I do have the bass knob up here, which was another thing I ordered from them because I've had it taped up here and it's fallen down a couple of times. So they have the one thing to relocate that here. So I also did get that, but alright, so everything's working. Everything seems to be, I don't need to make any adjustments really. I'm actually quite impressed by this little, I've always been intrigued by these square kickers, and they always perform way better than you think they're going to. And putting this little 8, coming from that 12-inch going down to this little 8, I was like, I'm going to regret that. I was like, but the extra room, it'll be a good trade-off, it'll be, it won't sound as good, but it'll sound decent, and this sounds amazing, so very happy with that. So what I gotta do is figure out how to get this mounted over here now, and but yeah, it'll fit right here standing straight up and down like I do when I do. All your settings for the amp are pretty much untouchable at that point unless you take everything out. So yeah, and like I had it installed on this side, just puts some self-tapping screws right through into the metal there. I got some sound deadening foam back behind it, just so it's not metal on metal. But yeah, I'll go ahead, get that screwed in. We'll start cleaning everything up. We'll put we've got to replace our cubby, since obviously that's not going to fit there anymore since the speaker's there. So we do have to take the cubby out, but we do have the replacement grill. This, I may have to see what we could do anything about, because that's kind of what I expect it when I think of 3D print it, is that. We'll see how that looks once it's all said and done, but I might want to try cleaning that up or do something about that. But, I mean, gets the job done, and it's better than just having a hole there. So we'll see how everything looks once it's installed. Go from there. But for now, I'll go ahead and get this amp cleaned up, get all the wiring cleaned up, and then we'll come back and get everything buttoned up. Okay, so this is the back side of our panel, and we need to take this basket off, and it's just plastic welded on there. So we're gonna drill those off, and it does not take much. I got this big bit here that fits, and it does not take much. And you don't want to go too far because it will drill right through the whole panel. So it's very slow and steady to get these. Just pops right off. Get a razor blade and clean up. Yeah, like a flat blade or flat drill bit probably work better. Really, all there is to it. Other than this, should just sit right in there. And this does not seem to fit, to be the right thing, or fit right. Their pictures, and this looks like a factory install. Okay, I guess if we do it that way. Okay, so yeah, that looks much better, because that all kind of looks, like I said, you can tell it's 3D printed. It doesn't look super great, but turns out you don't see any of that. You just see this netting, and it fits in there. It looks perfect. So yeah, it fits. There you can see where it fits over top, where those plastic welds were, where those holes line up. And it says just to use some 3M tape along there. But yeah, it fits perfectly in there. So I was a little off put by this when I first looked at it, because like that does not look very good, but I thought it was going to like show all this on the outside, but it doesn't. It just fits in and then shows like OEM, like the pictures. So I'm going to get, it is too cold out here. It is under 40 degrees. So I'm going to get out the the heat gun. I'm just going to heat the surface up a little bit so that the 3M tape actually sticks. It tends not to stick super great when it's really cold. I came out to get this all done today because it's supposed to be even colder tomorrow. Yeah, it is. Alright, well, I'm almost out of electrical tape. I'm all out of 3M tape. Gotta get some stuff ordered here. Maybe Santa will bring me all new tapes. Oh yeah, that does look much better than I thought it was going to when I first opened that and saw it. I was looking at the back side, not the front side. So yeah, very happy with that then. I'm going to go ahead and get this installed, and then we can continue cleaning up. So let's go ahead. Beautiful. And there we have. Looks like a regular install. I'm going to go start it, make sure there's no... Oh, wait. I can't yet because I got it disconnected because I had to rerun everything over to this side for this amp. So let me get this all connected, and then we'll make sure everything's sounding good. Alright, so we got everything put back together. Tailgate's back to normal, except for it's got the nut certs in there, but that's fine. Everything else put back together, except for I did have to reach in and take that screen off because it was vibrating and making a bunch of noise. And I think that's more just because of how cold it is and trying to use that 3M tape. So plus it was the end of the roll. So once it gets a little bit warmer, I'll put that screen back in there, but I just took it out for now. It definitely looks better with the screen. Well, it just looks stock instead of having a hole in there where you can see a speaker. But I like the screen on there. Like I said, once it warms up, I'll order some more tape and find something that'll work a little bit better and stick so it doesn't start rattling or anything. Yeah. That all said, the box itself fit perfectly in there. I was a little wary of a 3D printed speaker box, but it's pretty thick. It's pretty sturdy. It all mounts in there. Directions were good. Like I said, I had the bigger amp, so I couldn't mount it over there. I moved it over here and ran all the wires under and over. But yeah, it's all tucked away. I got all my space back, and I'm very impressed with this little 8-inch kicker. It's pretty booming for its size and the configuration and everything. You know, I figured in such a small box, small speaker, it wouldn't be too impressive, but it's pretty impressive. So yeah, definitely, if you're in the market for a little bit more bass in your Bronco, which pretty much all of them, especially ones that didn't come with the factory subwoofer in them at all, definitely needs. Check out, I was going to say Gearshade. It's not Gearshade anymore. If you go to gearshade.com, you can find them. But it is Additive Car Audio. Again, I don't have an affiliate link or I'm not selling them or anything. It's just something that I've been checking out. Seems like the guy does good work. You know, seems like a mom and pop shop, and they're doing the thing and they're not ripping people off. They're providing a good product. So happy to support that. So check them out if you're looking for some extra bass in your Bronco. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you in the next one.